Hello everybody, welcome to CompuGeek Support, and today I want to have a discussion about Error 53. Now, if you don't know what Error 53 is, it's a big problem that's affecting users of iPhone 6s when they try to update their iPhone software to a newer version of iOS, specifically iOS 9. Now, Error 53 currently only affects the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, and that's the only two devices that they've currently proven to be existent on. Now here is a list of Apple devices that are currently using Touch ID technology. Pretty much the technology that allows you to unlock your device using your fingerprint through the home button. So devices include the iPhone 5S, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, the iPhone 6s and 6 Plus, S Plus, sorry, the iPad Air 2, the iPad Mini 3, the iPad Pro and the iPad Mini 4 all use Touch ID technology for their home button. And all these devices, in my opinion, could have Error 53 problems in the near future because of the fact that they all use the same technology in their Touch ID home button. Now, the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus uses a slightly enhanced version of this technology, but I probably can almost certainly say that this security feature will still be present in the newer version of the Touch ID. And it's all down to this part in the iPhone that causes this problem. Now this is attached to the screen of the iPhone, and many repair companies choose to not use the original one of these when they repair your iPhone. Now this is your home button assembly and the ribbon cable that connects it to the iPhone's circuit board. Now the problem is Apple pair this to each iPhone. So each iPhone has its own Touch ID button. It knows what Touch ID button goes with it, and pretty much if you take an iPhone 6 and use it with its original home button assembly, it knows that pretty much that's the original home button and that will work absolutely fine. All your Touch ID will be accessible and you can use it and restore without any problems. But as soon as the repair shop decides to use another home button, now this could be from Apple as well, it could be an official Apple part, but the fact that it's got a different coding to it, it's not the original button for the iPhone, it's not paired to it, this will pretty much cause the iPhone to recognise that that's not the official home button, and you'll lose access to Touch ID features, and you'll lose the access to your restore as well, and you'll get Error 53. Now, this doesn't surprise me, to be honest, because Apple were literally trying every single way possible to get repair shops to cease what they do. Now, third-party repair shops, they allow you to get your iPhone screen replaced at a fraction of the cost that Apple charge you. I know places that will do it for 50 quid. Now, the only problem is with these third-party repair companies is often than not, the components used in the repairs are going to be of lesser quality, and you'll notice a little discoloration on the screen. When I had an iPhone 5 repaired for me by a third party, I noticed that compared to the original Retina display from the phone, the display quality was of significant less sharpness, and the contrast was just washed out totally on the display, and it was a rubbish display, eventually leading me to pay £240 to get a new iPhone 5. Now, also another problem is Apple engineer these parts. Apple engineer the screen intricately. So pretty much every iPhone screen you use as an official product will feel literally exactly in place, exactly where it's supposed to be. And many people don't realise the measures that Apple take in order to prevent people from repairing their phones themselves or using third-party companies. Now, the fact that Apple said that this is a security measure, the fact that Apple deliberately do this so to keep your iPhone secure, is a load of rubbish. Because of the fact that what they were doing in the first place was bad enough, because this error has been apparent since the iPhone 5S with this issue. Now, this is a screenshot of the iPhone 5S's Touch ID and passcode section. As you can see, there's no reference to Touch ID no option to store any fingerprints on this screen at all. Now this could very well be because of the fact that the passcode's turned off, but this is kind of like what a user would see when a non-official home button assembly was used in an iPhone 5S. The Touch ID functions would not work at all, point blank, no Touch ID, but the device would still be able to be restored, and you would get no error 53. Now, of course, Touch ID problems did occur on the iPhone 5S when people broke their screen, as the fact that the ribbon cable for the Touch ID sensor was literally right across the board, and as soon as you lifted the display up, 99% of times unwilling repair people will literally shear right through that cable. So my last 2 points with this are pretty much this won't deter people from getting their screens replaced at all, because you can still get your screens replaced by a third-party company, and you can still repair your phones yourself. You just want to make sure that you're using the original home button assembly, the one that came with the phone. Don't let them install anything that they did, just let them install the one that came with your phone. Specifically, go up to the repair personnel, literally tell them you need to use the original Touch ID home button assembly that came with my phone. Do not use the one inside the kit, as this will almost certainly cause problems. This is also 99.9% of the time why Touch ID doesn't work after you repair your device's home button as well, if you're a home repairer. Each of the repair I do, I use the original home button. So I've never had an issue like this. I've repaired countless iPhone 6s screens, and I've even repaired my own, and I've repaired my screen, and I haven't got error 53 when I restore it because I've used my original equipment. So simply using the original equipment will pretty much resurrect your device. And that leads me on to finally what you can do if you have the error. Well, there's one of 3 things you can do in my opinion. 1, if you still have the original button assembly from when you got your iPhone screen repaired, or whatever you've done, I always recommend you keep the original parts, the original damaged screen, just in case problems like this. But if you still have the original assembly, if you still have the original part, this leads me on to my next point. You can either reinstall that assembly yourself. It's not that difficult, but if you are within warranty, I would take it to Apple. Or you could get a repair shop to fit it for you back in there. They'll probably charge you a fair load for this, but it will re-enable your Touch ID functions if you use the original button. And the last but not least, which is pretty much what most users would have experienced, is that you might just have to pay Apple £240 or whatever it is to buy a whole new phone from them, because at the end of the day, most repair shops, should use your original equipment, and if they didn't, then you've got a bad repair shop pretty much. So pretty much the gift of the gab all this is they're trying to be greedy, pretty much. This security measure, in my opinion, is nothing to do with security, because Apple did say that the home button information, the fingerprints, are stored on the device themselves. But how is a device that's simply supposed to scan your fingerprint and literally convert it to a digital signature or a digital file that the iPhone is supposed to interpret affect security? I highly doubt that, because it's all handled with software. I highly doubt that Apple will be able to modify the software. In fact, jailbreaking is a bigger risk than having the home button replaced. What do you think about this? Thank you for watching.